myself, I am never going to do that. And so I decided to become a master of camouflage. So one of the things about Gene, because he had a big old guy, big wide shoulders, football player, is I'd come into class, I'd sit down and I'd watch Hanson. And Hanson went through this same ritual every time where he'd look and he'd turn around and he'd put a theorem up and then he'd turn around and scan the class for a victim, right? And when he would do that, as he would go up there and I knew he was about done, I would get down behind Gene and I would disappear. If Gene was sick and wasn't there, I went underneath my desk. This is a true story. I am underneath my desk, waiting until I hear him call somebody, and then I slowly come back up. If I was a little late to class, you cannot draw attention to yourself. So I'd stand in the hallway, looking through the little window, and when he finally picked somebody, I would quietly come in and sit down in my desk in back. Okay. I go the first quarter, first half semester, nothing. I get through the entire first semester and he never notices me. I don't do one of those things. This is now, it was a 6th period class, so it's late afternoon, right? And so you're getting a little fuzzy, but I was pretty concentrated. But then there was a girl, I moved her around, named Nancy, real pretty blonde. I mean this with respect to my wife, she was cute, but I found out she's a total loser, of course. But anyway, so she was and she was pretty, and she just kind of wears short dresses. That's distracting to a 15-year-old. And she wasn't interested in me, but one day she decides I'm nice. So she's in a good mood, and she's, hey Rich, how are you doing? I'm like, Nancy's talking to me. Wow, that dress is short. Oh my gosh. And I lost focus. And then I heard it. Thawley. Crap. And Hanson standing there with a chalk. No. Right? And he gets this look in his face. Have you ever done one of these? I went, yes. I had done a couple of proofs. They were in homework. He didn't ask, had I done it up there? He just asked, had I done one of these? I went, yes, several of them. And he goes, no, you haven't. He says, come up here. Now, it really is a shame, but sometimes you only pray when you're in trouble, isn't that right? And so I wasn't a big prayer, I'm a lot more of a prayer now, but I'm walking up and I go, Heavenly Father, I know we haven't talked in a while, but if I could just catch a break here, could this be a simple one? Please? So I get up there and I'm looking at this thing and boom, I had it. Hold on, wait for the rest of it. I go, because every once in a while they're real short, right? This, thus. And I go, got it. Thank you. I was expressing my gratitude to Heavenly Father. And I go, this, conclusion. I take a step back, I look at it, I nod to myself, and I turn around and look at the class. And then they realize, I think that's the answer. That's right, and that's what they started doing. They started laughing. Maybe it's because it was late afternoon, closer to the end of the school year, people a little more lighthearted. But man, did they think that was funny. Right? And so they're laughing, and they're laughing, and they're laughing, and I'm beet red, blushing, right? I turn to the teacher for some help. This son of a gun is laughing so hard, he's slapping his legs. This is a true story. He's got little tears in his eyes. My teacher is laughing so hard he's starting to cry, which is causing the rest of the class to laugh harder, and the one who was laughing the hardest was Nancy. And I'm there, I'm going, oh hell, this is great, right? Great. And Hanson, as he was able to gain control of his bodily functions again and get a breath, goes, Osborne is that guy I was talking about. Osborne, come up here, help Thawley out. Osborne comes up, takes the chalk from my hand, goes, excuse me, sorry. Erases my conclusion and puts the other, ready for it, 9 steps. Not 3, 12. And Henson goes, Thawley, I have no idea how you got step 1, 2, skipped 9, and came up with a conclusion. I said, well, I heard. Who is the greatest mathematician of all time? Albert Einstein. I said, I heard Albert Einstein flunked geometry. No, excuse me, flunked algebra because it was too simple for him. I said, maybe it's something like that. I said, maybe you should just give me an A and I'm out of here. He says, I don't think that's it. And so he called me after class that day, and we had a little sit down. And he said his part, and I said, can I share my part? He says, yeah. I said, you're never going to get a chance at me like this again. You can call me every day for the rest of the semester, and I won't come up. There's not a chance you're going to get a chance to laugh at me like that. You got one shot at it. Right? And we'll never be friends, Mr. Hanson. We will never be friends. He said, that's great. But then he went and took a look at my grades and found out I had pretty good grades in everything else except his class. So he sat me down again. He said, I know you've got what it takes. You need to step it up if you're going to pass this class. You guys, I spent more time studying geometry the rest of that semester than I did any 2 or 3 classes all the way through college. I did not get geometry. It did not work in my brain. Obviously, I had the handicap that I didn't care to begin with, but I had to get past that class. Because you know what seemed like a bigger nightmare than being in that class? Being in it a second and third time like my buddy Gene. There was no way that was going to happen. You know what's amazing to me? And now I'm going to get real serious with you for a minute. All I was fighting for was a stupid letter. Was it going to be a D? Was it going to be a C? Never really had a chance to be a B or A. I was fighting for a letter. A little bit of peer pressure. You remember how the report cards came out? You know, you're going around and your friends are going, what'd you get? In such and such. Those guys asking got A's, right? They got A's. What'd you get in geometry? Screw you, right? I got nothing. Because they got A's. What'd you get in history? Those are the A students in history. Am I right? You understand what I'm saying? So all I'm fighting for is this letter. No money's on the line. No personal happiness is on the line. The improvement of mankind is not on the line. And I had to work my butt off. Most of you at times work very hard in school for a letter. Everything's in such a big deal, grades, and you get the end of schooling, and you know, you go out to get employment, nobody asks about your grades. From then on, your report card's your financial statement. You can't go to the bank and say, I want a mortgage for my house, and they go, well, what do you have as collateral? I got an A in geometry. Well, how about that? How much do you want? That's not the way it works. Yet here you came through the door of an office, or somebody came into our homes and gave us a presentation, got our interest a little bit. Maybe we then went down to the office, we heard a story, we decided to fill out an AMA, and you had a chance to participate in World Financial Group to build a business in our business platform, and we can't get you to show up at 9. What's wrong with that picture? We are trying to put millions of dollars in your future. We are trying to change the destiny of your family for generations, like it has ours, like a bunch of us up here. So as you think about what you really want, the rest of your time here today, tomorrow, and on the way home, as you think about your hopes and you think about your dreams, know that you can't keep some of the same habits and indulging yourself in some of those things. We at least ought to be able to get you to work as hard on studying leadership and this system and how to give a decent presentation and how to engage somebody in conversation and do a little prospecting. We at least ought to get you to be able to study that as hard as you did your biology class or your English class or your history class. We'll try and make it interesting. You know, in the American educational system, in junior highs, we used to call it now middle school, you used to have to take a history, U.S. history class. I remember my teacher, his name was Wall. He wasn't a bad guy, but he was about as boring as watching a rock grow. Like if you put a rock on a table and stared at it for an hour, that was about how good a teacher he was. His hair was gray, his eyes were gray, he wore a gray suit, he wore glasses, he spoke in a monotone, and the entire class was near suicidal by the end of each period. That teacher taught me in 8th grade how slow time can pass. He'd be droning on up there, and I'd look at the clock, and 10 minutes had gone by. And we had 50 minutes more. It had to go all the way around to here, right? And I go, okay, stop looking at the clock, stop looking at the clock. Focus. I look around, people just like, you know, just, don't look, don't look, don't look. Ah. 2 minutes have passed. So we're gonna try and make it interesting for you. That's part of why I learned how to tell stories, right? And it's part of why I worked on developing my sense of humor. I found out it's useful in leadership. Because a lot of this can be a grind, isn't that right? It can be tough stuff. But there's a lot of funny stuff that's happening too. Man, I wish we had another session tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. You see how effective our conversation is that we're having right now. How much time do I got left? Man, it's 5:49, that doesn't count. We get done around noon here. I got another 20 minutes. I'm gonna get real riled up. You know, I'm gonna write a few things down. I'm gonna use Elmo. How come I don't use this? Because I like to write stuff down. I'm 63. I don't know how to do PowerPoints. I got a son-in-law that's awesome on PowerPoint. He does our webinars, right? But I'm gonna write stuff. I wish I had a chalkboard. I'd call some of you up here. I appreciate our leaders. You know, it's amazing to watch the position of executive chairman now be filled. Right? Because Andy and Lynn have made it to executive chairman, right? And Jeff and Cam Levitan are executive chairmen now. These are big time positions. Their teams are producing in amounts that major companies in the United States don't produce at. And then we got these amazing studly field chairmen, like Gary Goldson, right? Great. I mean, these people are. Aunt Raja's one of those now. Wow. Wait, Raja, I think I just gave you a promotion. Sorry, SEVC. I thought you were a field chairman. Excuse me, I must have done that by accident. But Rocky She is the field chairman. Reality show. The Canadian Animal is a field chairman. Penny Oy is a field chairman. And Wan Yang is a field chairman now. It's fun to watch. Fun to watch. And then there's some SEVC guys. Wait a minute. There's no way they want me writing directly on this, so hold on. That's the kind of stuff that I do. I have bought 2 Elmos because of that. That's expensive. Do not write on the Elmo in permanent pen. That's awesome. Thanks for giving me a permanent pen. So, I got some quotes for you. You ready? I'm just going to read them to you. I'm warming you up for this conversation we're about to have. This is from an old guy, John Quincy Adams, who was the 6th president of the United States. If your actions inspire others to listen to this, to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you're a leader. Did you hear that? Dream more. What was the next one? Learn more. Then do more and become more, you're a leader. That's a test we all need to apply to ourselves. Is our work with our teammates as leaders inspiring them to dream, learn, do, and become more? If there is, there's greatness in you, and you're going to make a big difference in the world around you. The growth and development of people is the highest calling of leadership. The growth and development of people is the highest calling of leadership. You know, there's some leaders in this company right now who aren't even attending this convention. They're here, but they're not in the meetings. I actually heard one of them say, I just can't listen to all those people. Unbelievable statement. Unbelievable statement. I love listening to the people we have up here on the stage. Every one of them makes a contribution. Cindy and I have been in the business 36 years and 8 days. Because June 15th was our 36-year anniversary of joining this industry. I don't know how I got 36 years in the business before I heard MBA stood for massive bank account. How did I go that far without knowing that? That was a great line. There's been a whole bunch of great stuff. I've loved listening. The function of leadership is to produce more leaders. You and I need to study leadership consistently, day in and day out. If you go to church, study it in church. If you serve in some other areas, study it there. If you're a Boy Scout leader, try and raise Boy Scouts that are leaders. But the reality is, our task as leaders is to produce more leaders. Remember, the highest calling of leadership is the growth and development of people. And if I had to work that hard in a geometry class, I certainly ought to be able to put out some effort to study leadership so the company can pay me millions of dollars to do so. Does that make sense? Understand, entrepreneurs, the kind we are, in the business we have, is all about the development of leaders. Now, one other thought I want to introduce. A lot of you understand, but some of you need to ponder this. Great leadership is about wisdom, not intelligence. I have a below average IQ. I proved it in 5 different IQ tests. But I found out leadership isn't about intelligence, certainly not analytical intelligence. You know, one of the fun things I'm going to experience this year is I'm going to work more closely with Wan Yang. Now, I get a kick out of him because he's got a PhD, and even his wife calls him Dr. Wan Yang. I said, stop calling him doctor. Don't handicap him. It's okay that he got a PhD. You don't have to apologize. But to me, he's Wan Yang. The man, the individual, the person, the leader. And you go to work with people on that basis. He was a scientist, so he's very intelligent. But we can work through that with diligence and patience. See, in this world today, we have all this information, don't we? And the more information we seem to have, the more scarce wisdom seems to become. And we've got to be a company of wisdom and of wise leaders. But this is all pretty simple stuff. See, when you got a low IQ, you got to explain things in a simple way, in a way that I can relate to and understand. This is one of my favorite things to show about leadership, and I'm going to race through it. I'm going to give you this. Okay. Well, why didn't you tell me that was going to be there? All right. I got it. I hope this is showing MGM Grant. It's what I'm about to show you is maybe the coolest thing you've ever seen on leadership. All right, you ready? I don't know anybody's ever said anything this wise to you before in your life. But I want you to prepare emotionally for some great breakthroughs, all right, in your leadership capacity. You ready? You ready? Seriously, this stuff is freaking brilliant. I don't know, seriously, I don't know if you are emotionally prepared for it, but will you try and prepare? Are you ready? I'm ready. There's stuff in business and behaviors that is high pay. I'll call it wise. There's stuff in business that is low pay. And we'll call that stupid. See, the stuff I'm going to write over here is so stupid you can't spell stupid right. That's how stupid it is. Okay? See, this already is brilliant. Just to know that there's high-paying stuff, behavior, and then there's low-paying behavior. So, as we go through this list, you got to go, well, which one am I? And if you go, well, if I'm over here, I'm being wise, but if I'm over here, I'm being... See how simple this is? Is this awesome? I told you. Simplicity is brilliance. So let me give you one. It is wise and high paying to be honest. So therefore, it is low pay and very, very stupid to be dishonest. I love talking to people. I say, do you consider yourself an honest person? They say, pretty much. What the heck does pretty much mean? You know, when the Titanic sank after hitting the iceberg, its hull was pretty much intact, except for that slice along the bottom. Everything would have been fine. See, in leadership, we're either honest or we're not. So, dishonest will destroy your business. Because the number one thing we want to be is trustworthy. And the opposite is what? Untrustworthy. I told you, you don't have to think too hard on this stuff. If you don't get these first two squared away, it doesn't matter what else you're going to try and do in leadership. It doesn't matter how good you talk. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how high your IQ is. It doesn't matter how much you get our products or how well. Understand, if these first two aren't there, you can't build a team. Nobody will stick with you long range. And they shouldn't. It is high pay to be unselfish. Therefore, it's low pay to be what? Stay with me. What is it? Selfish. Uncomplicated. It is high pay to be courageous. And it is low pay to be fearful. See, you got to have courage to be a leader. You know what the root word of courage is? Word core, Latin word for heart. Courage means strong heart. And you need a strong heart to be a good leader. And it's these things of character that give us strong hearts. It is high pay to be likable. Likeable. There's no E in likable. It is, what's the opposite of likable? Let's just say you're a jerk. See, low IQ guy, I get this. It's better to be likable. You can't be like, people aren't going to like you all the time, but you can mostly be likable. Be a pleasant personality. Somebody says hi, you don't go, hey, up yours. That's not what you say. That's what a jerk does. Or they say hi and you ignore them. That's what a jerk does. That makes you stupid. And we're not going to pay you much to be a jerk. We're going to pay you to be honest, trustworthy, unselfish, courageous, and likable, though. We'll pay you to be encouraging, not discouraging. Boy, I write bad. I don't get paid by that. That's not on the list. We'll pay you a lot to praise people. We won't pay you much to criticize them. It's a pretty powerful thing to have humility. It's a wise thing, and it's a virtue. And man, the opposite of that, arrogance. Hey, we've all had arrogant moments. I have. Probably have a couple more again, but I try and remain vigilant over it. Arrogant. What happens with arrogance, right? The difference between humility and arrogance is the difference between a magnet and whether it's pulling you or repelling you. Magnet has two poles. One repels and one attracts. If you want to be a magnet, find yourself over here on the left. If you want to be a magnet for people, you want to be seen as a leader, these are the attributes. These are the behaviors. You know what? We'll pay you a lot to be nice, not much to be mean. Bill talked about this when he said, studies show people are consistent, right? That's the number one thing. Well, it depends what you're consistent at. If you're consistently a jerk, that's not good. right? If you're consistently selfish and consistently untrustworthy. So consistency isn't the key to everything. It's being consistent at what? And here's another fun one. Try and be a little bit exciting. We all can work on this, isn't that right? I know I worked on it. Wait, what was the opposite of consistent? Inconsistent. All right, I don't need to spell that out. Exciting? Let's just put boring. So, my junior year, I have to take U.S. history again. Oh my, right? But I come in and there's this teacher, and I remember he said, I'm going to set up this battle in the American Civil War, and he had moved the desks, and and then he said, you're this army, and you're that army, and you're this general that, and then you moved over here, and you killed those guys, and we were fascinated the whole thing. We hated it when the hour ended. The exact opposite of the experience I had in 8th grade. We've got to learn not to be the teacher like I had in 8th grade. We got to learn to be more like the teacher I had in my 11th grade, my junior year. Same subject. One was fascinating. One put you into a coma. Don't be that guy. Don't be coma guy. Who we having speak today? Coma guy. See, happiness is a choice too. So is being grumpy. So, let's say, okay, here's my goal as a leader. You're doing a written plan. I want to be dishonest.